I feel happy when I express the love I feel inside. And this is the love the Creator has for me.
Intergalactic beings of multi-dimensional realities. Welcome to Channeling. Marie Chieze. Welcome to Channeling. Welcome, welcome. We are so happy that you are here. We're so happy for your bravery and stepping out and translating words of your shaman, of my shaman, for people to hear, for them to enter into what I call medicine in a way that is grounded, that is balanced, that is beautiful, and in a way simple to hear, simple for their hearts to hear. So I'm here excited to share about this book, this beautiful book, Words of the Shaman. And there are quotes in here that you kind of dissect and open up each one of them for everyone. And I want to start and go through a few of those quotes today, but also because this is Welcome to Channeling and we're just about play. First of all, I just wanted people to hear your story of how you found your shaman and what made it click for you to become an apprentice and to become dedicated enough to write this right here.
So where do you want me to begin?
Wherever you like. It can be at your birth. It could be before your birth. It could be wherever you want, wherever it feels good for you.
So maybe the main point of my background is being a psychiatrist. And I've worked many years in Geneva at the university hospital. But I've always been interested at the same time in spirituality. And I had many questions that with a scientific background you cannot answer. So I searched for first answers in the religion, and very quickly I moved to philosophy and anthropology. So I found some answers, and I found a way of thinking that helped me to open my mind to several domains, from the scientific to the spiritual and philosophic one. But in my daily life, I still needed answers. And I searched many years for those answers and for the right person that could answer them. And at some point, I met a friend that had worked with Poaching Hoe, and I decided to go and see him in reality, what he could bring me. Mm-hmm. And the first week I stayed there, I observed many things that opened the door to getting those answers. So I decided to stay there, to stay near him, to receive his teachings, and first to get to know him before deciding that I want to go further and work with him.
I'm like, my hand is going to my heart because a lot of my emotion is coming up, me remembering my first interaction with this shaman, my shaman. And it's just, it's so sweet, the remembrance of that, and the energy when I feel and connect in with that, just feeling his presence, it just it's so delightful. It's so enlightening to me to feel the love that just is just really strongly there, and just such a delight. Did you feel, you're sitting there for a week really observing, what was the thing that just really suddenly, I don't know, made sense to you? What was the thing, or was there one thing?
Yes, I can share with you that so a lot of people want to help the others, but it's also well known as therapists that you cannot just say what the other wants to hear. Otherwise, you cannot truly help him, and you cannot open his mind to something he actually doesn't know yet. So sometimes you have to push harder on him to be able to open this mind to something else. And I've realized very quickly that he was able to do this. So for me, it was a sign that he had the courage that is needed when you want to make people grow. So this is one thing. And the other is that I can testify that he has healed many persons that had difficulties or illnesses, diseases that a doctor cannot heal yet. So I saw his knowledge through this also, being able to heal heavy diseases.
Yes. I've been able to witness some of this myself, and it's beautiful. So a part of this is, I think, a blessing that happens and occurs when you enter into an experience as a group, and you're there in your space, but you're also sharing a space of healing everyone together. And I think some of the beauty of that is that it's like the healing of one is the healing of all. Like, we all can feel into it. We all benefit from it. And like, when someone truly offers themselves to healing, then the benefit just isn't for themselves. It's for everyone, not only there, but in their lives. And so it's a true gift that people can do. Some people look at it as, if you have to go spend a week out, and do something like this, maybe they're considered being selfish, but it's a true gift to everyone in their lives, as far as I'm concerned. And that's how I feel it.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Yes, I agree. And do you know why we can say this?
Why?
So my training is deeply the Jungian analysis, psychoanalysis. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Yes.
And I've met in this shaman the same like feelings. He has the same way of thinking as a Jungian psychotherapist have. And so the fundamental of this is the existence of the collective unconscious, meaning we all share the same unconscious that contains in it all the memory of the story of humanity and of the universe since the beginning of time. So, but in this, so you have all the good and all the less good. And
yes.
So you have also all the false beliefs that the humanity has built through time. And some of our suffering can come from those false beliefs. So when through the action of the shaman, a person is healed, it means it's also clean from his false beliefs. And that's why also the other receive from these healings, because we share part of those false beliefs.
Yes, absolutely. I love how you talk about that, because we aren't we are not islands unto ourselves. We are all connected in ways we cannot see often. But then we start uncovering our humanity and our unconscious and how we really are all one. And it becomes a magical dance when we are willing to open up those realms. I think it can become really beautiful as we, when someone opens up those things and faces something that another might be very terrified of, something that they have run away from. But then as 1, 2, 3, 4, as we start to open to this, that it becomes a part of the awareness that we can continue doing that it's now possible. Just like when, the 4-minute mile was broken for runners. Once one broke that 4-minute mile and ran that fast, suddenly several others were able to do that. And it was like, it just took that one to be able to believe enough and to face it and say, actually, my body, my spirit body complex, I can beat that 4-minute mile. I can, access that ability within me. So I love that you talk about this, and I love that this book really has so much of the insight coming from kind of a psychological viewpoint that makes it feel very balanced. And I think that's why I used that word when we came together, and I kind of offered up our prayer, because that foundation of balance, when we're playing in a world, a lot of times people use polarity to pit one thing off of another, and you can't be one and the other. But the reality is we are all of it. And when we choose the different aspects that help support us and create a foundation, then we are more balanced. We aren't going to get thrown off by one little thing that happens in our lives, right? So I wanted to open up. First, I was going to ask you about the writing of this and how you decided to go about it. Was it just you gathering quotes and then you started? Did you work with our shaman to kind of come up with the outline? I know he likes to stay behind the scenes. He is very traditional in that respect. And so I'm honoring him by speaking with you and really you telling your story.
Yes. So he has known from the beginning I was interested in writing. It's something I've liked for a long time before I knew him. And quite quickly, he has proposed me to take notes from what I was living there, and that I would be able to write a book on something, on whatever I want later.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to take those notes from my experiences during 2.5 years. And those notes were relying on what on the path I was doing when following his teaching there, to help me understand my past life and be able to build a new one based on new beliefs. So this is, I've done the path I propose in the book. So it's really relying on experience. But at first, he was totally against writing himself. So he didn't want anything, he didn't want to have anything to do with this. So even his name shouldn't be rewritten, his quotes shouldn't be used. And at some points, he saw me studying and trying to write, and I had difficulties to organize my mind correctly, to stay simple, because this is a challenge. We speak about spirituality and we include psychological or psychoanalytical concepts that are quite complex.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge is to write them in a simple way so that anyone can understand them when they read. And it should be also very short text, so that people can stay 10 minutes on them and can come back if they want later. But because we know that in this society, people usually don't have the time to stay 1 hour over a book. So he saw me struggling, and it gave him the envy to help and to write himself. So he allowed me to use his quotes, and after to write a simple text explaining his quotes. So this is how it began.
Well, I congratulate you for helping bring out the mercies of the shaman upon you. Because I know it is a challenge. I mean, because I've written books, and the biggest comment that he had for me was keeping it simple. Gwen, you need to keep it simple. And so that was his feedback for me. And I just enjoyed the thought that he even read a paragraph or two if he did of the book. But I wanted to just start out. Thank you for sharing that story. That's beautiful. And in the story, in the book, it talks about really the letting go of the past and walking into a new earth, a new future. We'd use the word a lot in, I think, America right now, like the new earth or your new world. I talk about people claiming their new world and opening to having it being revealed to them and walking forward into it. But you talk about it in here in many different ways, and I do enjoy how each little quote, you have a few pages on it, so it can, like you said, be read in 10 minutes or so, and then you can go on to a different section or come back to it. But the first thing I wanted to bring up was the very beginning and the first quote. I'm pulling out my little notebook and I'm going to read it right here. So, spirituality rests on 3 cornerstones. Number 1, the divine love of our Creator, which is unconditional, eternal, and unlimited. Number 2, free will. And number 3, eternity. Boom. There you go. I mean, really, if you wanted to, you could probably have just written the whole book based on that right there. But
Exactly.
Exactly. So I just found it being able to be so precise, so powerful, right? That being able to be so precise, be so powerful. This is interesting because it's almost like I want to hear your testimony of this statement and how this feels real to you, because this being the cornerstone, everything else is built upon it. Everything else stands because of it. So I would love to hear your testimony of that. That sounds funny as a Christian. That sounds like a Christian. We're at church right now. Okay.
Yes. First, so you're totally right. The first quote and the second one are the cornerstones of all the philosophy of Poaching Hoe. Everything relies on those 2 quotes. Mm-hmm. But this being said, it's also accessible for someone that wouldn't believe in God. Because if you don't have faith in God, you can also change it just as a psychological aspect. So you remove the spiritual one, and you instead of faith in God, you put the words faith in yourself.
Yes.
Because to be able to achieve something, you need to have faith in yourself. So even if it's not in a greater strength, greater entity, it can be in yourself, because we still have to believe in something to be able to achieve some objectives in our life. Otherwise, we don't do anything. We're just paralyzed.
Yeah.
So
Well,
for me, yes,
yeah,
go
ahead. Go ahead.
When I met Poaching Hoe, I had searched for one question, especially during many years, at least 10 years. I was searching for the meaning of life in general and the meaning of my life. So I knew I wanted to help others. That was clear for me since I was a child. That's why I also study the medicine. But something was missing. And I believed in God. So, but it was the same. Some part of the religion didn't satisfy me completely. I didn't find all the answers. And I had realized, for example, that I had a lot of guilt coming from my beliefs, and that is in contradiction to believing in a God that is just love, and especially unconditional love. So I didn't know what to do with that, and I had searched in theology, in philosophy, and I had still trouble with that. And after, difficulties to apply it in my daily life. And when I met Poaching Hoe, he explained me those divine principles. But what is behind is that the meaning of life is the evolution of consciousness. So we are here on Earth to do an experience. And the finality of this experience is at the end of our life to have evolved in consciousness. It means I will die being a better person than the one I was when I was born. And this, it was as if all the piece of the puzzle I had, brought up during the years that made one full image that I understood. So for me, this explanation gave meaning to my life.
Yeah.
I'm totally open that it may not be the case for someone else. It's just that for me, I can, with those principles, I can explain what I lived. I can put it in perspective with what I want to live in the future. And it helps me to understand what someone may be going through.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Really, that bringing together that divine eternal love that is unlimited, that is here present for us, bringing in and adding that we're here with choice, able to choose, no matter how small the choice is. We have a choice, even if it's us choosing to breathe more, or smile, or say yes or no. Like, even if it's that small of a choice, the more we embrace that choice, the more that choice expands, the more we see more. And then this idea of eternity, that we are a consciousness that is ever expansive and ever evolving. I think those things together bring a beautiful picture to this scene. For me, one thing recently that's been something that has been a gift to me is recognizing that even our most hellish experiences have offered something to our consciousness, to the subconsciousness, have given us information that we can use in some way, or can give information to someone we don't even know, so that they can build their own life in the way that they desire to. And so I think if we look at it in that way, things become, they sound rather practical, but it's kind of a beautiful process. We don't have to live in such a mystery of it being in something else's hands in a way, because it's always up to us, right? It's always down to us being involved in it and deciding, where am I directing myself, right?
Yes. There's one point that is the most difficult to accept and understand, I would say. It's the meaning and the use of suffering. Because usually we reject God when we suffer, because we don't understand why there would be a creator, a God, an entity. We can call it the way we want.
Yeah.
That would want us to suffer. And it's where we split between a God that is unconditional love and a God that can be mean, can punish. That would be schizophrenic. One day he's good when I do what he wants, and one day he punishes me because I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah.
But if we start from the point that God is just unconditional love, it implies in itself that we have free will. So we decide whatever we want to do, and after we experience the consequences.
Yeah.
And those consequences can be the way we would like to be, so we are happy, or they can give the reverse of what we expected, and then usually we suffer. The problem is that during the first part of our life, we, as children, we are educated by our parents, by society, by school, sometimes by the religion. So we catch a lot of beliefs that is shared by the majority of the humanity, and in some or in a lot of those beliefs, they are not aligned with the divine principles. So they are not respecting our free will. They are not helping us to realize our true nature. And at some point, usually when we are a young adult, we have to decide, we want to clean what is good for us and what is restraining us from achieving what we want deeply.
Yeah.
So we cannot just, when we are just beginning this path, it's very difficult to decide to say, I want to achieve this, so I will do it. Because first we have this cleaning part to do, to be able to express our free will. And this is the part of the healings. Healings is not just healing from a disease or from a psychological difficulty. It's also cleaning our false beliefs from the one that are aligned with those divine principles. And it's those one that will allow us to express our true nature.
I think this, in some ways, this can be a long journey sometimes as we start to discover these things. For me, it feels like I discover in layers, and the more I'm able to feel and be with me at different ages and times, and if I visit myself and I can look into myself and say, what are your ideas that you're adopting right now? What is your story of your life? And feel into actually the pain of the story, even at that age. Because when I was even 7 years old, some of my story was so overwhelming. I felt I wanted to die. There was a moment where I wanted to die. And there was, an opening into a kind of an enlightened entity experience, which gave me a tool. And this is so fun. I didn't know I was going to share this. A tool to use in order for me to want to continue on. And he told me, he said, sing right now, sing. And I just started singing. And it was like the pain, the intense amount of pain that was in my system started moving and freeing. And I cried and just, I started becoming connected again to the beauty of life. But I mean, sometimes our stories and the things that we were raised with or exposed to, they can become very, very heavy. And sometimes it takes a while to like uncover them and do that. I mean, is there a formula that you would say to do that, or is it just, it's just getting down and doing the work, you know?
I would say it depends on the person and of his path or her path. If the suffering is too overwhelming and too deep, it's like a vicious circle, and the person is just getting down. Even if she wants to go out, she has not the tools to go out of it. And there it's a point at which she or he needs help. So either from a therapist on a psychological domain, or some goes to a shaman, to healers. It depends. It depends on the source. It depends of how the person reacts. But it's sure that if the suffering is too big, the help of another is required. It's very difficult to go out of a suffering by ourselves.
I love what you say, because it shows just real compassion. There's not always one answer, because we're all so unique. We're all in different places. And really, truly, someone with true compassion being able to see in to someone can be really a beautiful ticket, you know, when things have become so overwhelming. There are people out there who have studied these things, who know how to work with people in different ways. And I think that was one of the beauties of me being exposed to my shaman, is that I've experienced so many different medicines, but what he offers is something unique and something different. And that's one thing that was beautiful for me when I was first introduced to him. Before you go into the medicine journey, sometimes he'll be willing to see people. And when I first came in to see him, it was a really beautiful experience, because it was him and his two kind of like senior apprentices there. And I sat down, and there was this sensation. It was like I was in a field of totally being seen, and I could feel it, and they could feel that I felt it. And it was like, and it was like this comment. He he turned to one of the assistants, and he's like, "She's very open." And I'm like, "Do you not understand that I can hear you?" But we need to be careful with this one, you know. But it was so beautiful, because being in that presence, like the next day when I was able to come in front of him, my guides, because I channel, my guides were pushing me to ask a certain question. And I'm like, no, I don't want to ask that question. Come on, really? And I sat in front of him like, okay, I'm going to be brave. And it was so beautiful. You know, I asked him about, and it didn't even have to make sense, because we both, our most common language that we spoke was different. But he answered through spirit. And I literally saw, like energetically and spiritually, what he was saying to me. And it was beyond what I would have thought. And I was so glad that my guides encouraged me to ask the question, because I was there in this open field, being so open. And it was like this golden blessing that I got. I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember him looking at me and he said, did you get your answer? And I said, yes. I got my answer. Yes. So I believe in the power of intention and power of people who have journeyed, people who have dedicated themselves to really seeing into people and seeing in an offering of the medicine that can help. I feel like I'm putting out an advertisement.
No, but I had this question coming exactly at the same time you shared this.
Yes.
So you shared this experience with the shaman.
Mm-hmm.
And have you noticed any changes in your life after receiving this?
Oh, always. Yes. Yes. And a part of it is just the everyday steps that I take. One of the things that I noticed is me continually opening up in spirit and being able to see in vision. And I believe that some of this occurs when you are locally connected to someone of that vibration and of that ability. Sometimes it helps open you up in that way. And another thing that has been always come through when I connect with our shaman is this just clean and clear experience of it doesn't have to be so complicated, and enjoy life. This is supposed to be about being happy, Gwen. Like these are a lot of the messages that I get in the connection. And whenever I'm in a state of where I'm thinking like, is this a lesson for me to learn this heavy thing? Is that why I'm going through this? I'll get a response from him. It kind of cuts it and slices it in two. And it's like, no, this is about your joy, Gwen. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, right? This is about your joy and you claiming it. And so I think it's like, I feel like as a shaman, that energy is what he's always calling me to when I connect with him. So that's my experience. So
it's great.
Yeah, it is great. It simplifies my life. It feels more balanced rather than me, because I'm such a gangster for devotion, right? I must be devoted and I'll do whatever I need to. But really, it's like, hey, are you enjoying life, Gwen? Let's cut that and just be with that. And I so appreciate that someone who's actually so, considered quote unquote spiritual and spiritually minded, that it's such at that point blank level, like that's where the honesty comes in. Like, do you know what joy is, Gwen? Is this really about your joy? So I think for me, that's been the blessing for me. And what has been your experience as far as that's concerned?
Yes, I agree with you. For me, one of his greatest quality in the sense of what he brings to people, and to me included, is that he's very pragmatical in his way of thinking and in his way of approaching the difficulties of the people. So he's able to give very practical solutions to difficulties. And at the end, indeed, it seems simpler than what we thought.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I have a question also.
Yes.
You've experienced those teachings from Poaching Hoe in ceremonies, and you've seen the improvements in your life or the positive consequences.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the book? Do you meet the same positive consequences with the book as in ceremonies, or what do you? I would be interested to your feeling about it.
No, I enjoy it because going to ceremony, it's not like I'm being reminded of it every day. And this is a way for me to synthesize and because when one is in the ceremony itself, so much is happening, so much is happening that having this, what it does is it helps me see what those teachings were and see them beyond the experience of the ceremony itself, if that makes any sense. So they come in clearer, separating them. And then that way, too, it helps me to see it in my everyday life rather than just attached to the ceremony itself.
Yes, this was the objective we had. So I'm very glad that you experienced it.
Folks out there who are watching and listening, she did not tell me that she was going to ask that question. No, I think it does. It helps the mind pinpoint, oh, that's what that was about. That's what that experience was about. And I loved it. I wanted to share a few of my favorites.
With pleasure.
Okay, so and if either one of us want to say anything about them, then I would love it. The first quote that I wrote down that I really loved was, "The aim cannot be perfection, but wholeness." I'm seeing this smile on Mary's face.
Yes.
Tell me about what's in your heart about this one.
This quote accompanied me for a very long time until I was able to understand it completely. Not completely, but seeking for perfection was a point that was creating me difficulties in my past. So,
yeah, when I think of the word perfection, I view perfection differently now than I did many years ago. But for me, often with the word perfection comes a lot of judgment and deciding this, it needs to be this way or this way. And it's kind of a focus that doesn't allow one to see what's really in front of them and what's needed in the moment. It's set upon an idea or a standard that's separated from like being in the moment with what's really happening and the truth of what's happening in the moment. So for me, it's in the moment when we're searching for our wholeness, we get to identify that if we feel like we don't see the whole picture, it's because we don't, but we can invite in more of that whole picture at any point. We can acknowledge that there is more for us to see, and there's more ways for us to feel a part of the big picture rather than trying to like dominate it, if that makes any sense.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Except that with your way, I will have difficulties to abandon the perfection. Because even I don't know if you see my problem.
Please tell me more. I love this.
I want to achieve, I give an example. I want to achieve a goal, for example, being able to publish my book. But I have an idea very precise of how the book should look and what should be inside. But even if I take the big picture, meaning it's one book, maybe among several, I have time to write it, and I need to handle this time because I have other tasks to achieve. I would still have difficulties for the book to lower my expectations. I don't know if I'm clear.
Yeah. So you're saying it would still be hard to lower your expectations of what you want the book to be.
Yes.
Yes. How have you resolved that?
For me, but again, it may not be the way it would work for others. It was what you said at the beginning when we spoke about this is the perfection is not what we usually think of perfection. It's not that it's 100% perfect without any defaults. It's in the Egyptian way of seeing perfection helped me a lot. Perfection is what is necessary. It what is in conformity with the divine plan. So I may be suffering now, but if it's for my evolution of consciousness, if from this challenge I will become better, or I will understand a teaching from it, then it's perfect, because it's the path I need to go through to be able to grow. So it's not having no default, it's just what I need to do to evolve, to grow.
Nice. I like that. In a way, when I hear you say that, it tends to take on a new form, almost of an attitude of whatever I'm doing, may it be in divine integrity and for the evolution of my consciousness and perhaps all those around me, because what I offer is for myself and all around me. So to me, it almost it can take on just a simple attitude of grace, almost like, it's like grace and perfect, that what is perfect is not separate from grace being a part of it, I think. So
yes. And there I join a point from something I understood as well, is that I was I had the confusion in my mind of purity and perfection. And I mixed that when I was a child, and I had this during many years. And I was certain that I needed it to be perfect, to be pure, to be able to be loved. And so I can be pure, I can have pure intentions about what I want to do and how I want to help others, but I may still do mistakes because I'm learning. So I'm growing, so I need to sometimes mistaken to be able to do better after. Yeah. But this doesn't mean I'm not pure or I have bad intention or that I'm a bad person.
I love what you just said. I so love it. I'm going to share another story. Yeah, because recently I've become more and more and more aware of our stories, just like you told your story of how you connected, you being only lovable if you were, pure and that kind of a thing. For me, I was getting to know a gentleman recently, and we were talking a lot, and we met just shortly went on a walk together, and then afterward he was, asking like, do you like me, and blah blah blah, this kind of a thing. And I was feeling very anxious, it was like a lot of pressure, right? And he started, something I said triggered him to start telling his story of how women are, and how they like, they try to manipulate men to get what they want. And I was, I had never done this before, but I was like, stop now. I was like, stop now. I said, do you know what you're doing? I will not be in a relationship with a man that does not see my pure innocence and my purity. Like, I am not stepping into that story. Like, I'm not going to be that for you. And I had never done something that bold before, but there was a part of me that recognizes, we all have stories that we kind of assign people to play different roles in, but being able for me to honor, in essence, my purity and the intent of what I'm doing, not that, we're all human. Like, we're all going to be human. We're going to express it in a different way. Maybe we'll say it in a way that someone interprets it this way or that way. But the intent and the purity of what I was focused on, and what my desire was completely there. And I think it's good for us to be able to unwind the different things that we attach to our, I guess, our lovability, I guess you could say, and even if this gentleman believed that I was the story that he had in mind, what was coming to me was that I was not going to allow him to say if I was lovable or not, right? I was just like, I know what I am. I am absolutely lovable. But if you're incapable of doing that, that's fine. But I am not going to walk down that road with you. Right? And so it was an interesting experience being that bold. I don't know if I have to do that ever again, but it was something really cool for me to see, to say, these are the boundaries, and I am the center, and I get to decide, I get to decide that I'm not going to walk down that story road with you. I'm going to be true to my nature.
Yes, self-respect and self-esteem, and you don't have to accept anything if it's not good for you.
Yeah, that's something that my guides have been big with me. And yesterday when I was reading the book, it was talking about the self-love, and this was something that was really important for me to chat with you about. I don't know why, I just felt we're going to talk about self-love really quickly, because this is so essential, this self-love. And when I was sitting with myself yesterday, I started writing. I was writing in my notebook, some of my, what I consider to be judgments or pains in my life, or things that I thought weren't right. And so I'd write one, and then after reading these chapters, I was like, and then I'd write, I love you. And I would just sit with it. I love you. This is a fact. And sometimes it wasn't a fact, it was a story, but I didn't have to correct it. I knew, and I could see, like, even if it was a fact or a story, whatever it was, and I love you. And it was such a beautiful experience for me. And then when I came home, my guides came in and they were like, it's not only, and I love you, but you are love. You are love. Continue to say that. You have to be strong in order to walk through and walk into the new world that you desire. Like, I am love. Whatever comes up, that's great. I am love, and I am love, and I can experience whatever comes up, but I am love, and I don't have to buy into an identity that I'm not. No matter what I'm experiencing, I don't have to buy into an identity that I'm not. There's my testimony. I feel funny. I'm like, I'm in church. Oh yeah. Mary, I'm so glad you're just smiling, you're just taking it in. But I guess I think that's great that you're smiling, because it's the words that were in here that helped inspire that, right?
Great. I'm happy because yes, you're right. It's the bottom line of everything. If we achieve to reconnect to the belief of a creator that is only unconditional love, then nothing should hinder us to be happy and to feel loved, whatever we experience.
Yeah.
But this is quite difficult to experience in the daily life. But maybe, and for me, this is what I would like to achieve, is through the life I build around me, I would like to be able to express this love every day. And by expressing love to the ones that are around me, I know they will feel loved, so they will love me in return. But even not, I feel happy when I express the love I feel inside. And this is the love the Creator has for me. So, but we also, what is very interesting is that we can understand what is true love through this unconditional love of the Creator, because He also gives us a free will. So He loves us even if we do things that we are not happy with after. So even if we create our own suffering, He continues to love us. So it means that, for example, if we love someone, it's not just saying yes to everything. Especially, for example, for children, it's also guiding them so that they are free to experience what they truly want. So the Creator loves us whatever we decide. But if we have suffered from our past experiences and now we understand why and what we had to change to be happy, then we can teach our children by expressing love. So meaning the kind of love the Creator gives us, but by teaching them a path that allow them to express their free will as the soonest possible, and not like us when we have to do all this path through suffering to discover a reality that suits us. I don't know if I'm clear or if you see what I mean.
I believe I do, and it's something that I really enjoyed with my kids, because I did my best to help them, offer them choices, and help them see the choices, but then to be there when perhaps an emotion arose or they were frustrated or something, and just being able to be there and say, well, to be with them in a part of kind of a processing that was it. And of course, this was done in love, but it's, to me, I think that that's such a gift to be able to offer people, to say, because love is, when we offer both the love and of course honor the choices that we have, that we are a person of free will, that then we can stand on our own 2 feet more, right? Because our actions aren't taking place in order to have love. We can feel the love, and then when we are with that love and in the love, we can identify something that maybe we want to shift or change. And there's no crisis around it because the love is already present. And we can simply, in more of a matter-of-factly tone, say, oh, well, thank you. I now realize that that wasn't a beneficial thing to do. I'm going to try this now, right? And see if this works better. And I think ultimately it allows us to become the educated intelligences that we want to be.
Yes.
Rather than, trying to save ourselves from ourselves, or hide ourselves from ourselves,
I can share with you something Poaching Hoe usually says.
Yes.
He says, we teach what we have to learn. And I feel this is exactly what you are sharing. No?
Yes. What can I say? I'm in the middle of my own medicine. I love it. Well, I'm really grateful for being connected to this, for the medicine coming through you and our shaman. And I wanted to thank you, but before we leave, I wanted to offer a small channeling. And then if you have any comments afterwards to kind of put your thoughts into it, then that would be great. Does that sound good?
Yes.
It's interesting. I'm feeling kind of a new something here. Why, hello. It is delightful to be here today, speaking to you, Mary, one who has chosen a beautiful path, along with your shaman and other apprentices who are in support of a beautiful life. We are here in encouragement for you to continue to explore, continue to explore in what is considered creative ways of expressing these kernels of truth which you are learning from in your life. And as you do so, you will offer these kernels to people for them to consider, for them as they attend or prepare to go into journeys, into experiences, or after they go home, that they have a connection back to the medicine, the spirit, the truth that is available to them there. We offer you encouragement in this, and in simple ways of you simply rejoicing about the beauty of your life, of how you may step out your door and experience nature, experience life in various forms, and that you are in a community where people desire to support you and what you're doing. We say to you that anything that does not belong there, that is not of support, it will eventually remove itself and fade away, and you will find your own space of peace, of quiet, and you will naturally desire to share more. This is something that is a part of the spark of your heart, Mary, and we look forward to hearing more words come from you and for you to explore. As you have a great foundation, you may explore in your imaginations and tell medicine through story. This is something that we encourage you to do, even if it is just in small little ways, for you to experiment with your ability in this. And so spread the word in ways that even the little ones can understand and hear, and they will enjoy as it is shared with them. These are simply a few words that we leave with you in encouragement, and we thank you for your gift and your offering to the world right now, and it will continue to spread as you simply delight in your life and share what joys come and go, what new insights come and go, and you share them with those around you. This is our simple, loving words to you, Marie, and we say this honoring you as a divine sister and brother, for we are not just one sex per se. We honor you in your many devotions, your many lives, your many forms, and we honor you and say, Aho, we are here, we are here, we are here. That was for you.
Thank you very much for your words. You've expressed my intentions and my wishes for the future, so thank you.
Well, I think that it is connected because it has been expressed. So wonderful. I'm glad to hear that, and this has been delightful for me and wonderful to connect in the way I am. And please send my love to our shaman and do a dance with him or whatever you feel. Like, do a dance with him. But just tell him that I'm honored for his presence in my life, and I will continue to be blessed by it.
Thank you very much. I will share this with him. And thank you very much for your invitation and your sharing on this. It was a pleasure for me, really.
Click the link below to receive your very own free soul play meditation, reboot, or soul song. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Welcome to Channeling. Till the next episode, own your stage and play on.
Hot Muffin Media.